Liebe Zuschauer, herzlich willkommen zum Nasdaq Report hier aus der Technologiebörse Nasdaq am New Yorker Times Square. Mein Name ist Manuel Koch und bei mir ist Rich Benjamin. Er ist Autor und Analyst. Er hat seine eigene Website richbenjamin.com. Thank you for joining us today.
Great to be here, Manuel.
Rich, we saw the Alcoa earnings. They started the season and it's not too bad.
Yes, traditionally people say that if Alcoa does well, the stock market will do well for the rest of the year. But that may not be the case. We may see some market crashes later on.
So you expect the earnings season to be challenging?
I do. It's been good so far, which is a good sign, but I think a lot of uncertainty will make it challenging for the rest of the year.
Any special sectors you see struggling?
Well, I'll tell you what I hope doesn't struggle. I hope that the renaissance in our manufacturing sector here in this country continues to take hold. And also our housing sector has seen a bit of a regain, and I hope those continue to do better.
When we see the market increasing at the moment, positive signs from Washington because of the fiscal cliff, and we saw Alcoa now, do you think this positive market reaction will continue?
I hope so, but it's not necessarily the case. We can't take that for granted, Manuel. I think this country suffers from too much short-termism. We want short-term, with elections, with shareholder earnings, and we need to look at the long term and do some difficult things for our economy if we want this growth to continue.
What is the key? What should Obama do to create new jobs?
Well, I think it's jobs, but I also think it's decreasing the huge wealth gaps that we see. I think inequality really cramps economies and really cramps stock markets in the long term. And again, I think it's also, if we can get a clean energy base and manufacturing going, that'll help long term.
Are you afraid of this gap you are talking about?
Very much so. I think it's a problem. First of all, I think it's a moral problem, but more importantly, it's an economic problem.
How can we close that? Is it possible?
Well, I think raising taxes on the wealthy who are earning more than $400,000 was a good start. I think investing in education is another good start. So I think there are many ways we can do that, and I'm hopeful. I'm becoming hopeful.
On the one hand, you can increase taxes. On the other hand, you have to cut your spending. What do you think? Is there the next fight in Washington coming up?
Well, Manuel, we're going to see some big budget battles, and that's part of the uncertainty I was speaking about before, which may or may not have an effect on the stock market, but it's budget battles. How and where do we spend our money, and that really reflects our priorities.
President Obama is the leader. Do you think he's a strong leader? Has he to be stronger for the next battle?
I think he had a good first term. I do think he's a strong leader, and I think he's really going to get better in this term because he's not running for re-election. He doesn't have to have the short-term mentality that can really harm this country.
When we look, for example, to some stocks, we are here at the Nasdaq, so Facebook had its IPO here. The Facebook stock increased on Wednesday because of a rumor, or the press conference will be next week on Tuesday. Do you think that that Facebook maybe can find a good curve or good way that the stock really has a stable continuity?
I do think that. I think that a lot of people had schadenfreude, me included, when it fell on its face during the IPO here. But I think in the long term, I think there will be stability. And I don't think it's a bad stock pick, or at least as bad a stock pick as people were saying.
Could you imagine a cell phone, a Facebook cell phone?
I can imagine it. I mean, the younger people than myself, they love Facebook, and I can imagine, them integrating the hardware with the software and the whole shebang. Personally, I wouldn't be a fan of it, but I can foresee that.
You said you are expecting more uncertainty the next weeks, right? Or
in a couple more cycles throughout the year, not necessarily the next couple weeks, but certainly this year we will see some uncertainty in the market.
So more volatility in the market, or still volatility in the market?
I do suspect that, and I say that because, as you said, there'll be budget battles, there could be a double dip recession. I'm not hoping for that, or I'm not projecting that, but I definitely am foreseeing some market volatility this year.
All right, thank you so much, Rich Benjamin. Er ist Autor und Analyst und auch auf seiner Webseite richbenjamin.com kann man noch einiges über ihn nachlesen. Ihnen, liebe Zuschauer, vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Wir sehen uns bald wieder hier aus der Technologiebörse am New Yorker Times Square.